Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're in season 7, episode number 11. Tonight's the sports edition. Andy, how are you?
Good.
It's January 18th, Andy, 2026. The NFL season is winding down.
Yes.
And we have lots to talk about today. We've got a few weeks before pitchers and catchers report. The UFL
22 days.
Schedule. The UFL football schedule will be announced in 2 days. I know you're waiting on that.
Well, I saw some guys.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
People popping off out there about the championship game for colleges being tomorrow night. That's why we're doing the show Sunday here. That they should have done 2 playoff games Saturday and the college championship Sunday night or Saturday night.
Okay.
So do 3 games Saturday, noon pro, 3 pro, college championship at 7.
I would agree with that because now we get the hype for college was really up there, really high, and then it's been funneled down because it's been so late and all these other games are taking place that I think people have lost interest. Now we are doing the show.
I spent all day watching college basketball, so I've totally forgotten about football. But
yeah, it'll be interesting. So we're going to dedicate our night on Monday to watch that game because we think it's going to be a good one. But let's start off with the episode.
Before your trivia question, I have one kind of factoid thing about the football game tomorrow.
Okay.
There's been some stuff online about it. Kim Mulkey, the coach at LSU for the women's basketball team.
Yes.
They're saying how she's responsible for the Miami Hurricanes winning the game tomorrow night.
Okay.
Let me explain.
How's that?
Haley Van Lith, the basketball player that was on LSU, was on the swimsuit models. Her and coach didn't agree, so Haley takes a transfer to TCU. Well, at TCU, to make room for her, one of the Cavalier twins, the famous twins who were doing all the modeling, they left to Miami. One of them was dating back the quarterback, so he transferred to Miami too. Now, those two have since broken up, but that's why he's at Miami, because his girlfriend went there, because another girl came down because Kim Mulkey didn't get along with her.
Beck?
Yep. He was at TCU. He follows.
Well, that is interesting.
Broke up for some. That's why he's in Miami. So it's all Kim Mulkey's fault. That's why he's there.
Okay, that is good. That's good for some good water cooler talk there. I like it.
It's that whole thing like where a team wins the championship with 1 loss. Oh, but this team beat them, but that team beat that team, and you kind of nickel it all the way down to like this 2-win team down here should be the champions,
Okay.
All right.
So poor Kim, it's on
Trivia
her
question
shoulders.
before we get
Okay,
started.
I like it. Trivia question for tonight on this day, 1950. What major league pitcher in 1950 during the offseason took a pay cut of $20,000 under his own suggestion? So went to the management, went to the front office and says, I want a pay cut on purpose for $20,000, and they granted it. 1950 during the offseason. This will be a good one. We'll have a little discussion on this afterwards, but let's go ahead with the sports, Andy.
Okay. All right, here we go. I'll get my bit here. Look at yesterday's game. Pros. Question, did your backup QB throw a pass in the regular season this year? Guess who's didn't?
Oh, wow.
Next week. And, we've always kind of talked about this. Now, granted, Denver had a lot of close games maybe, but the whole relief pitcher attitude now that's not why these other guys got it, but you got to do is you got to get the guy some snaps because you never know. But
yeah, just in garbage time, whatever. And now that's interesting. That is a very interesting stat right there.
And, and then there was this play or a DB who's Hall of Famer is saying it was a catch. All right. Here's what I got to say on this. I always dislike a lot. Try not to use that word hate anymore. I dislike a lot when everybody goes, this one play changed the game. B as in B, S as in S. One, unless it's the very last play, no. So, okay, so Denver gets the ball here. They still had to go 50 yards to make the field goal. Buffalo's defense could have manned up and stopped them. Other things could have happened during the game to prevent this point. This play did not change the game. It helped, but this was not the deciding play. There, I said it. Forward your hate mail to me.
Yeah, that was an interesting play also.
All right. Here's some more NIL stuff. Here's the rumor. Compensation package from Miami if this guy was to transfer there. Be a buyout, the Duke contract and terminate it. Pay $10 million to make the transfer go down. Country club housing, Adidas deal campaign. Sister gets a full ride scholarship and NIL deal. She also is currently playing soccer at Oregon. Are you kidding me? I'm so done.
It's just ridiculous.
And seriously, stuff like this, like I said last week, in 5 years, you're going to see college players traded for each other.
Yeah.
Just to avoid all this stuff. But can you trade a football player for a basketball player? Don't get me started on that. Oh, God. All right. Speaking of, just under 11,000 football players were in the portal. 4,000 FBS, 27 FCS, and over 4,000 in D2, D3. 6,661 NCAA football players are active, hoping to sign. There's still a lot of guys that entered the portal that haven't signed yet. I think once you hit the portal, you can't go back. If they made that a rule, a lot less guys would go.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go to your boss going, hey, I need 2 weeks off. I got some interviews coming up. I might be back. I might not. Yeah, try that at your job in the real world and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm going to go to a competing company. Can I have some time off so I can do some interviews? No. And then, by the way, if they don't pan out, I want to come back.
Yeah, I'll be back here Monday, so don't get rid of my stuff on my desk.
Oh, it's just bizarre.
All right. Talk baseball now. I'm so excited. The Phillies had agreed to Bo Bouchette's request of a 7-year, $200 million deal. The night before they'd sign him, the Mets swooped in 3 years, 126, after losing the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes. You look at the Mets' potential batting order for next year. They got Bouchette at third, who's never played third base. Polanco and Beatty, depends on who you look at, either at first base or DH. Neither one's played first base. Yet, Mets organization said after the season, they wanted to shore up their defense. So right now you got 2 of your corner positions of guys who've never played that position before. Now, part of me says they're professionals, they'll figure it out. That's what you got spring training for. Hopefully they've kind of dabbled at this here and there in the off seasons and spring trainings. We'll see what happens. But here's my other part where I'm okay with Bo Bouchette. I've always been kind of a Bo Bouchette fan. I'm not saying next he's with the Mets now. I've always kind of liked the guy. Second of all, again, another thing I've always said, I'll take 25 home runs and a 300 batting average over 50 home runs on a 250 batting average every day. And that's what you're getting with Bouchette. He's going to bat 300, so he'll get you about 24 home runs. Yes, Pete got you 40, 50 home runs, but he batted 250. So we'll see how it goes. I have faith. It's my team. I love them. God bless them. I'm going to pray for them tonight too. So we'll see how all this turns out. But the Dodgers did sign Kyle Tucker, and a lot of things I've seen because of the money, and the Dodgers are signing everybody for money. All these stats going, their payroll for their team is more than all these other teams. They're starting 8, not counting a pitcher. Or starting 9, not counting the pitcher because of the DH, is more than some teams. It's insane, and this is why we're going to have a lockout next year. So thank you, Kyle Tucker. You could take it a little more, sign with the Mets, and we wouldn't be worried about a lockout. But no. It's all about Kyle Tucker. All right. We will be following this story here closely, just like this other one here from Yahoo Sports. 20 men have been charged in a point-shaving involving more than 39 college basketball players on more than 17 Division I teams, leading to more than 29 games being fixed. It all started in the Chinese Basketball Association. They tweaked their skills there and they brought it here. A group offered bribes to college players ranging from $10,000 to $30,000 to companies going to compromise games for betting purposes. Like we said before, basketball is a very easy game to throw without throwing. The bet would be how many assists you had. Just don't pass the ball for a while at the end then. Make sure you miss some extra shots so you only win by 20, not 25. You don't cover the spread, but you still won. Stuff like that. Excuse me. So I'm guessing those were what kind of bets it was because they're easy to hide. But we'll see what happens on this. We will follow it closely. Here we go.
Nice.
This is almost better than the soapbox tonight. I'm so excited for this.
Always interesting on the police report. Ooh.
Not a good picture, but police say Jordan Addison reportedly had to be asked to leave a casino restaurant. This is from the Tampa area, reported by Joe Nelson. Why was Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison arrested in Tampa, Florida on Monday? According to the incident report filed by the Seminole Indian Police Department, Addison allegedly refused to leave a casino restaurant despite multiple requests by staff. Per the report, Addison was asked to leave the bar at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. He allegedly refused and wound up being arrested and for a probable cause trespassing at 3:46 a.m. local time.
Bingo.
As the defendant was being escorted out of the building, police report reads, he repeatedly had to be redirected towards the front exit. Addison was booked in Harrisburg County Jail at 7:33 a.m. local time and released roughly 7 hours later at 2:40 after posting, here's the part that bothers me, $500 cash bond. Probably had that in his pocket. Addison's legal representation says he may have been the victim of a false arrest. Okay. All right. On Jordan's behalf, his legal team has an investigation, identified witnesses, and we are reviewing the claims of false arrest. Okay, here we go. In July of 2023, he was cited and later pled guilty to driving 140 miles an hour on the Twin Cities Freeway. In June of 24, he was arrested on suspicion of DUI in Los Angeles. First of all, how are you suspicious of it? Either you are or you aren't. Which he later pleaded no contest to a lesser charge. He was also benched
he was sitting in the seat.
Game week 5. Oh no!
Yeah, he was sitting in the seat, I think sleeping.
Yeah,
or something. So they said suspicion. I think is why they used that.
And they benched him for the first quarter. Boy, that taught him. Boy, he learned from that one. All of the off the field issues will certainly be weighed by the Vikings as they look into the future. Bullshit. I'm sorry. They're gonna keep this criminal on the team, this hood, and that's okay. And that just, oh, he's such a great, upstanding young man. The hell he is. He's a thug.
So, Andy, you called it when we drafted him. You said watch and monitor his off the field activity.
Yep. He's had 3 now.
Because it's going to be nothing but trouble. And this was 3 years ago, I think you said.
Yeah, and he's had 3 issues now.
Great, good football player. Yes, on the field, I admit, great athlete, great talent. But when you say upstanding individual, that you can't get by with saying those things, and all of these things repeatedly keep happening.
And you have these moral clauses in the NFL. So how can this guy still be in contract? Well, he set out the first quarter of a game. Boy, you showed him. Loser. All right. There we go. Whoop. And I think, is that what all I got? That's all I got there, Dan. Just a quick little show on this stuff. I just wanted to end with that one there for the police reports. And a couple other things on some other stuff going on. I guess I get back to the Mets stuff with Bo Bichette. Bellinger still hasn't been signed, so there's still money for there. Does Bichette replace Pete Alonso? Well, kind of. Like I said, 300 average, 2 dozen home runs, 50 home runs, 250 average. So it is another body. It's another all-star. We'll see how that goes. Cheaper all-star. We'll see what happens. You got Brett Beatty, who's young up-and-coming player. He can move the first. Polanco, you got a lot cheaper. So with Polanco, Stemlin's at second. And Bichette, do they replace Diaz and Alonso? Financially, yes. One's not a pitcher. The pitcher's going to be young and smoke and mirrors this year. The Mets have a lot of young guys coming up. Jet Williams coming up. Machado coming up. Acuna coming up. So are those guys going to be trade bait for pitching when the season starts or throughout the season if they need it? Is Bichette going to be trade bait when the season starts? We'll see. Going to be an exciting year. The Phillies didn't get a lot of the guys they wanted. The Braves are coming off some injuries. The Marlins finished the season strong, but they didn't make any real big pickups, so we'll see what happens there. Washington's Washington. So National League East will be tight this year. We'll see what happens there. Like I said, the Phillies did sign JT Romero, the catcher, to a 3-year deal. That was really a Band-Aid. I think they didn't really want to sign him, but they weren't getting anybody else, so they couldn't let everybody go too. So they had to – not that there was an issue, but they wanted to spend the money elsewhere. Nothing was taking, so you'll take your catcher. We'll see what happens with that. The Revival basketball or Revival basketball, the women's 3-on-3.
Unrivaled, yep.
That's been going pretty good. I was talking to some other guys at work the other day. I said, how can this little 3-on-3 league that's in a 1,000 arena pay so much more than the rest? Of course, we all kind of agreed the obvious. There's no travel, so it's all the games in one spot. Your overhead's nothing because it's 3-on-3, so you probably got 5 on the team. Again, you're not paying for travel. Your overhead is almost zero. And it's in Florida where a lot of guys with a lot of money want to have ownership, so they spend it more. It's kind of like the guy who owns the little Dairy Queen is making more money per year than the guy who owns the Baskin Robbins. Just this little Dairy Queen hut. That's all he's got, But he's got no overhead. He's closed in the winter, blah, blah, blah. He's making more bank than the guy with the big ice cream parlor. That same sort of thing. That, like I said, 22 days to pitchers and catchers report. Roughly about 3-4 weeks. NASCAR will be starting up at the Daytona 500. So we'll be getting back into those heavy here pretty soon. Again, college basketball is taking off pretty good. Bison had some nice wins over the weekend, both men and women, for their basketball. Bemidji State hockey, not so much. And Gopher hockey, the men are kind of confusing and making me scratch my head a lot this year. They're not the Gopher power Gophers like they usually are. They're middle of the pack, but they'll always be there in the playoffs is when they kind of show their skills. We'll see what happens. That's my little corner of the world, what I got going on. How about you, sir?
So we've got upcoming in the next few months, World Baseball Classic we're going to be covering in the spring. The Olympics, Winter Olympics coming up next month. Pitchers and catchers report for baseball. Twins had some news. They picked up a veteran catcher on the free agent wire. 2 years, I think it's $7 million a year, $14 million, I think, for 2 years.
I think he's making
and
like
the
$19
difference there, and it's 14 million 2-year deal, and it's for Carantini, the Astros heavy hitter, good catcher, good veteran guy. So the speculation there, and I'll be having a bonus episode on the Twins for this month. It'll be taking place midweek this week to iron some of this out. But the thing there is that we already have Twins have a backup catcher. They've got Jeffers. This guy now seems to be like the primary catcher. The thinking is that this will free up Ryan Jeffers now to be trade bait. And this guy could be the starting catcher. And we already have a backup, Alex Jackson from the Orioles. The question now is that why they're doing this, to free up? A lot of teams are interested in Ryan Jeffers, particularly the Phillies. And so
But
instead
they
of
just
just
signed
adding
JT,
this
so
for,
we'll see what happens.
oh, they did. Okay. So there's interest out there in the, for Ryan Jeffers. So that could be right now. The Twins are overloaded at catcher. We'll see what happens. They say in the news it's for some more depth. It's to have some more depth. Twins have pretty good catching depth already. So this one seems suspicious when they did this signing, but I'll cover that on the show this week. NFL wrapped up today, the divisional. So here's what we've got for next week, Andy. We've got in the AFC, the championship game is set. New England at Denver. Bo Nix hurt. The backup will be taking the reins in the AFC championship game. No stress there. It'll be at home, taking on a very tough New England team with Drake May, another young guy, going. The Rams will go to Seattle for a divisional game for the NFC championship game to play Sam Darnold and the Seahawks on Sunday. So now you're going to get a veteran there going up against the Rams quarterback, Stafford, veteran, Darnold, veteran. That should be a very different game than Drake May and the backup for Denver, right? As far as young youth quarterbacks, weather could be an impact on both these games as they're outdoors in chilly cities. So that should be interesting to watch, but that's coming up on Sunday. So we'll have that on next week's episode, the results of that as well. The UFL, they're going to announce their schedules, I think this Wednesday for the upcoming season. That's that's in April. That's March and April before that even gets going. We won't cover that too much, but lots of things going on. The NCAA football title game is tomorrow night, and it should be a doozy. Part of me thinks that, when Indiana picked up that coach, Indiana came from nowhere, right? In a football sense. They're a basketball school, good baseball school, but just not football. Now they get a coach that comes out of nowhere and wins, 12 games last year, 14 or 16 this year. What is the deal? I mean, how could that happen? And I think part of me thinks that when the Gophers way back when hired PJ Fleck, I think the thinking in the heads of the Gopher fans was this kind of result was going to happen. We're going to go to national title games in 2 or 3 years. It's going to be a big thing. Very, very rare does that happen. But whatever he's doing there at Indiana, unbelievable. And they're doing it with 2- and 3-star recruits and 4-star recruits.
That's my point. He came from JMU, which right now they've lost all their starters for this next year at JMU. Offensive. Anyway, so this coach comes in, brings his other players in. Got guys, 4-star, 3-star players clicking in. And like I posted earlier, is this Indiana Hoosiers football team the college football answer to Moneyball, the Oakland A's Moneyball?
Mm-hmm.
Where he didn't get studs. He got guys he wanted that could do certain things. And you know who else did that? Herb Brooks with the 80 Olympic team. He didn't get the best players. He got not really the guys he liked. He likes this guy's game. I like that style of game. That's what I want to coach. And that's what this guy did at Indiana. I need a quarterback that can do X, Y, and Z. I don't care if he can do 1, 2, 3. Can he do X, Y, Z? That's what he got. That's what he worried about. He got, linemen that could do this, receivers that could do that. I don't care if you got 4.4 speed or whatever your dumb numbers are at your combine. Can you do this? Can you read a good route? Can you cut? That's what he wanted, and that's what he got. I really kind of compare this Indiana Hoosiers football team as like the Moneyball of college football.
And they're not just good winning, 12, 13, 14 games. They're 16-0. They're undefeated, playing the best of the best teams at the end.
And because of the extra level. Games in the playoffs, they'll be the first one to ever go 17-0.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now they're playing a Miami team that seems to be just streaking, and everything's going right for them, and they get a home game of all things. So that's why that game is going to be very important, I think, Monday night, is Miami's playing at home, literally at home, with 2 or 3 losses, 2 losses. And then you get a team that's undefeated, ranked number 1 overall. Miami's a 10 seed coming into the tournament. That's going to be wild stuff. But it is interesting that this coach from Indiana is doing all the right things and goes to show that you don't need to stack your team with 5-star recruits. You don't need to stock up with the best of the best. Get the guys that are good, that'll work the system, coach them up, and then have them buy into the system and have a clear head on the soldier. No one's getting in trouble there. There's no news of wild parties and whatnot in Indiana that we're hearing about. These guys are laser focused. That's fun to watch. I didn't really give them that much of a thought last year. I thought it was a fluke for Indiana. And then this year, it kind of blew my mind that they just keep winning and winning and winning. And most of the games aren't even close.
Yeah.
So
they're winning. They're not like
this is unbelievable. And once again, I had never personally heard of the coach before that came in, but hats off to them and what they're doing there, because I think PJ Fleck is trying to do some of those things, but the difference is you're still coming away with 8 or 9 wins every year and getting a mediocre bowl game. Yeah, so that's not the same as what this guy's doing. But boy, and Big Ten is, with all these new teams added to the Big Ten, Indiana is winning it. You get Oregon, USC, Oregon Ducks all joining.
Hey, what was the number I heard the other day? It was Indiana. Let's say Indiana wins tomorrow. They're like next to last for most losses in the decade in college football, or some stupid number like that.
Okay. For the 2020s. Okay.
Well, because how many years did they have 2-3 wins a year?
Yeah,
not very good. 16-0. First team ever to do that. Talk about a turnaround again. Hollywood story, but fun story to kind of watch from a distance. It's not our team, but it's in our conference, so you hear about it. So it's been fun to follow. I've always been kind of a Miami U guy, just from the Catholics versus criminals days back in the 80s. So I've always kind of liked Miami.
Bryant McKinney.
My cousin went there. Tony went there for a while. He's been on the show. He went to school. So kind of liked Miami. I've kind of liked Miami that way. Never really thought twice of Indiana football, so I really have no horse in the race. I think it's been fun watching Miami, watching Michael Irvin act like a school kid on the sidelines. That's been fun. Yeah. That's been good for the game. Indiana, their story's been good for the game. There's not a lot of issues with these programs coming up like you hear with everybody else. Where everybody's going to say, oh, but this team, look at, they bought their team with all their NIL guys and all this other this and that. If you're going to say Indiana bought their team, with all the guys from his low school that was not Power 4 that no one liked, those players he brought in that are going to win, is that what you're talking about? That's who he brought in.
Yeah, it's almost like, a couple of years ago, the big talk was Deion Sanders going to Colorado and changing the mentality there on campus in Boulder and saying, we're in the Big 12. We're going to take this program to the next level. We're going to bring in new coaches, new players. A bunch of people left, new people came in. It was a big change. There was documentaries done on this. And I haven't heard a thing out of Colorado for 6 months.
He had too much partying going on. He had DJs in the clubhouse and all this other stuff. He treated them like the superstars they weren't. And that's what happened.
This is, the Ring of Honor. So this Indiana is a good case to follow if you're just starting to follow the college football scene or starting to follow Indiana. Look at what they've done. It's very bizarre, but it's like the Moneyball. It's doing things a different way, turning the concept on its head of what success normally looks like and saying, we can do this to get to point B instead of this. Very interesting, I think. Now, we have a trivia answer, Andy.
Yes, fire away.
Now, 1950, the question is, which major league pitcher reduced his own salary by $20,000 for the upcoming season, and they accepted it? Any thoughts on this? We're going way back here.
I'm trying to think who was relevant enough back then that would have the stroke to be making enough money to cut 20 off.
Yep.
And be a team player like that. I kind of going blank on that. I think of a 3 dozen hitters in that era, but I'm just going blank on pitchers.
So the answer, south of here, Iowa, Mr. Bob Feller.
There you go.
1950, was scheduled to make $65,000, which was a good sum of money in 1950.
Oh, yeah.
His record in 1959, his starting pitching record was 15-14, and says, you know what? I just don't feel being paid this much to have an average 500 record. Knock 20,000 off, and I'll pay 45,000. Pay me that. They said, okay, sounds good, whatever. That's what you don't see nowadays. The point of the
No.
episode is you don't see that nowadays as far as I'm getting paid too much. Please knock some off because I really faltered last year. Mr. Bob Feller, consummate professional, did that. Love it.
Hero to many.
Yeah, it's just I had a couple options for trivia questions today, and I thought I ruled the other ones out because I know this one's going back to 1950. But just think of the concept of that we don't hear of that today in today's world. They're going to pay me big bucks. He pitches. You know he's going to get Bob Feller's going to get about 30 decisions. You're thinking he's a lock to win 20 to 25 games every year. Here he puts up 15 wins and 14 losses. He himself approaches management by saying, knock me down a little. I really screwed up. I'm not worth it. So love it. Kind of goes to show that the times here, but Feller, excellent pitcher, just had that bad year, offered to knock $20,000 off on the salary, and they said, sounds good. We'll do it. That's the trivia question for today. So next week, Andy, we'll have the Super Bowl preview, which will be then by that time still 2 weeks out. We got the Pro Bowl. NCAA will be done by then. Lots of stuff happening, Andy.
I will be reporting from North Carolina next week.
Oh, yes. That's right. And a local hometown from Farmington, Minnesota, Drew Hellison played in his 100th NHL game here over the weekend. He's with the Anaheim Ducks, came out of Farmington, Minnesota, Shattuck St. Mary's, and Boston College, friend of the show. So that is fun. Also, the NHL season is over halfway done along with the NBA. So we're getting down to the final stretch, the second half, respectively, of both of those.
And they'll be taking a break for the Olympics.
Yeah, so that's also going to come into play. So we are going to be here to help out the fans kind of navigate their way through the watching and tuning into all these events with the breaks in the action. World Baseball Classic, Olympics, a lot of little interruptions here and there, but it's all good.
All right.
See you next week on Monday, everyone. Have a good week.
See ya.